Namaste and welcome. It is my pleasure today to introduce to our Lokvani audience Pradeep Gupta, who is the founder of Access My India. Access My India has successfully predicted 53 out of the 57 exit polls since 2013 in India. Access My India's 2019 general election and Haryana Assembly election forecasts were the subject of a case study at Harvard Business School. Pradeep Gupta is the author of two books, How India Votes and Blueprint for the Economic Miracle. He comes from a village in Madhya Pradesh and is an engineer by training and a graduate of the Owner-President Management Program at Harvard Business School. Welcome to Lokvani, Pradeep ji. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to meet you. And really, you are quite a miracle maker, for you have predicted 53 out of 57 polls in India. Indian polling is very complicated. So I'd love to know, what is the secret to your success here?
So Ranjani ji, we try actually polling. We need to see what is our objective. So our objective, or the rather vision of our company Access My India, is to connect and resolve the problems of all 250 million households. Households I'm talking about, 250 million households in the country. That is the vision we are working on, and it is very simple and very straight. Idea is to reach out to the people. That's the meaning of to connect to the people, try and understand their problems, issues, likes, dislikes on various subjects, including social, economical, and political. And after collecting the data, make some sense out of these data by doing robust analysis at our end, and try to come out the solution which are practical and easy to implementable in quick time by the relevant or the concerned stakeholder. And we put forward these information which we collected from the ground to the right stakeholder who is likely to solve it, so that he is the winner, the people at large is the winner, so as the Access My India. So that is what we try and do. And in the process, we end up forecasting, as you mentioned, 57 elections so far from since 2013 to 2022. Recently concluded 5 state assembly elections, including the biggest one, which is the Uttar Pradesh.
That's amazing. So the goal of Access India was not just to do exit polling, really. It was just sounds like it was a byproduct of what you are actually trying to do, which is to understand the people of India, their needs, and make a change. So that's really interesting. So of all the ideas that you have, or the information that you gathered, could you highlight what are the 3 major things that are facing Indians today?
So I'll tell you, it's the human needs which drives the choices people makes. These choices or the decision making includes the outcome of the election as well. While consuming a product or selecting a university or the college, it is your needs which drives your decision making, and you perform whatever you perform and come out with the solution, whatever you do. So in election, now let's talk about the election. So there are only 3 elements or the aspect which evolve any election for that matter, at least in India for sure. One is the people who elect the government. 2 is the leaders whom to be elected. And the third one is the performance of incumbent government whom they have elected 5 years back. So these are the 3 elements, and we try to understand, what's going on the ground as far as the election goes, and as far as these 3 key things are concerned. And when it comes to the people, for any election, believe it or not, in India, 80% of voters turnout, meaning voters cast,
Yeah.
80% of voter cast is largely, their livelihood is largely depend on government social security measures.
Interesting. Hmm. For
Because,
example, for example,
for example, there are 6, 7 basic things,
yeah.
which is road, electricity, water, education, health, law and order, and farmers related issues and facilities.
Hmm.
These are the very broad and basic for that any government is responsible for.
Right.
Okay. And after this, there are so many government social welfare scheme through which they government do the governance, so-called the governance,
Yeah.
you know. And in India, when I say these 80% people, out of this 80%, in fact, 50% of this 80%, roughly 40%, is lives $200 a month
Hmm.
income.
Hmm.
And rest 40 is $100, less than $100 a month income. This is the state, that's why we used to call it, even today we call it, India is a poor country.
Right.
Though there is so many heritage and wealth of knowledge and information in India and other resources,
Right.
but this is the reality, the hard reality.
So you are saying that people are actually very thoughtful in their votes. It is not just by, propaganda, following propaganda that they vote, but they
Yes,
actually know what they're asking for. Am I right?
100% you are right. So there are four things in any election which we call it. First, I will frame them in Hindi and then I convert into
Sure,
English.
sure.
One is the dawe, wade, issues,
Yeah.
and irade.
Mm.
What is dawe is a claim. So any incumbent government will claim they have done these things for you during their 5 years of rule, which is called claims.
Yeah.
What is wade? The promises, which is being done by the challenger. Whoever is there in opposition, the challenger will make list down these things we will do if we have been elected.
Right.
Then issues. There will depend on local election or a general election on a particular locality all throughout. There are many issues, the prevailing issue on the ground,
Right.
which includes the 3 4 are very common ones. It depends the intensity that very time. One is the inflation,
Right.
second is the unemployment, then farmers related issue always going to be there, the kind of state they are into,
Right.
right? And local thing, there are so many local issues, right? The law and order, sometimes drinking water problem, sometimes
Right.
road condition is the problem, sometimes health issues are problem, meaning there is no hospital. If there is hospital, there is no doctor. If both the things are there, then there is no medicine.
Right. Right.
What do we do?
Right. Right.
Then state of education, whether
One.
teachers are there, and if teachers are there, whether they are attending the classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You must have seen Indian picture, women carrying the water onto their head for 2 miles.
Right. Right.
So these are the local problems. Sometimes you may find them in a good condition, sometimes you may not.
Yeah.
Right? And these politicians or the leader, whoever is leader, they promises to address them when they come to the power. So this is the people. Then the leader. What is the meaning of leader? Is a public representative. That who should be the leader if the leader cannot resonate with the people
Yeah.
by their culture, by their language, by the
Mm.
issues they faces in daily lives, and should be heard. The people should be heard. If he is not available or visible to look after the people, then what are you leader for?
Mm.
Forming the chair for your own issues.
Right.
So
Right.
getting my point. So these people are very important. They are very careful while electing the vote. And these days, with the help of technology, education, and communication, now I would say 95%, more than that, voters take very informed decision making.
Interesting. Interesting.
In earlier days, there was no communication. You see, election is nothing. You elect a leader in your family sometime,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you make the consensus
In-
among whoever is the stakeholder before making the leader,
Right. 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 Right.
right? If even if there are four sons in a family, whom should they call the
Leader.
leader?
Right. Right.
Who
Right.
will be the most suitable, who take
Right.
care of all the family?
Right. That's most interesting. So you're saying that the Indian electorate is very informed.
Yes.
It is not making judgments just like that, so it's a very thoughtful electorate. And is that the premise of your book that's coming out? And is that understanding is what makes Access special?
Uh, Access is special, so I leave it people like you to decide. But yes, my book is all these elements. We try to talk the woman as a demography.
Uh-huh.
We talk on that in my book. We talk what is required to win the election, which is delivery, delivery, delivery.
Mm.
What is the impact of these political rallies? You must have seen in
Yeah, yeah,
India, there is
yeah,
a
yeah.
massive political rally, there is
Right,
a mobilization of the people. Does this impact the outcome of any election?
right.
Are people votes based on the size of the rally? The outcome is based on the size of the rally.
Yeah.
So that is also one of the chapter. Then state of economy. State of economy versus the outcome, whether income, if economy is in bad shape, whether the incumbent government is still win the election.
Hmm. Interesting
So
question.
I'll just give you the example because this is known to everybody, which is just opposite of that.
Okay,
If you
tell us.
remember in 2008, when the global slowdown there, so even India was got impacted. And
Yeah,
that time Manmohan Singh ji was at it was the prime minister. The 2004 he got
right,
elected, and he resumed the office. And 2008 this was the economic slowdown globally.
right,
And 2009 there was the election, general election,
right,
and he victorious.
right, right,
In 2004, they said India is shining, India is shining.
right,
Atal Bihari Vajpayee, all the economic indicators were in a good state, I would
right,
say. Economy wasn't growth, GDP was 10% plus.
right,
He lost the election.
right, right.
In 14, after Manmohan Singh repeated the government, in spite the economy was not doing so good, in 14, economy was fairly in good shape. He lost the election.
He lost the election.
So these are the things
Right,
we have covered in our chapter,
right.
and how so these are the 4 5 basic chapters
So
I
what
just
I'm
want to.
understanding from you that when you go into doing this exit polling, it sounds like your model accounts for all the variability. Is that why you are so successful in predicting these things?
Yes, so Ranjini, see, asking people simply whom you have voted or you are likely to vote, they are not going to tell you anything out of that.
Right.
Unless you bring the value proposition for any human being, he
Mm.
is not going to connect. That is the connect is not just you are reaching there. Reaching is just one thing. What
Yeah.
is more important, when you exchange the information in
Interesting.
a true sense.
Yeah.
So you got to be serious enough, convincing enough to get the right insight. And
Ah,
for that, we need to design the questionnaire accordingly. So first is that of course, the basic demography, which is age, gender, geography, rural or urban, and these are the unique demography. And the three one is the common one, which is the education, occupation, and the income.
mm-hmm.
And then we start our questioning starting with what is the kind of problem you're facing in your area, what do you
Mm.
want next government to do. They say whatever they want to. The second thing is what is the state of various social welfare schemes. We list down one, at least top five, whether you know this, are you aware, yes or no, you got benefit, yes or no. So we know the level of awareness of those flagship scheme,
Sure.
whatever they call it, the government, the state government and the central government. And the third thing we say, okay, fine, this is the problem, this is the benefit you got or you otherwise are satisfied or dissatisfied. Then the third thing is the leader. Who you think is the most right leader into your mind who can address all these things or been addressing all these
Yeah.
things. Then they talk about, they name whatever leader they want to. And then we get on to your local public representative, which is MLA and MP, whom they directly elect in India.
Mm.
You know that.
Yeah.
So whether you want to keep it or you want to change them. So
I see.
that is about the leadership. And the third thing, whom you have elected last time, what do you think? And how they have performed according to you. And now election is coming or just election is concluded, if it is exit poll, whom you trusted for the future. Then they say whatever they say.
I see. So it's a very in-depth, rich survey. So that gives you the right data for you to analyze. And do you share this data with the governments? I mean, if they can understand what's going on in the thing, would they make a change? I mean, have you had any success in doing that kind of
Yes.
a thing?
So our clientele includes the corporate, the government,
Yeah.
and the political parties, all three.
Okay.
And they commission us the study.
Okay.
And see, survey is nothing but a diagnosis thing. Your body become a state. You
Correct.
run through the scanner. You may find some problem here, some problem here,
Right.
some problem there, and they are the one who has to take the right medicine
Listen.
or the remedial steps if you want to really win. That's why we say, our company goal is connecting India to build India. So what is our role is nothing but a lab technician identifying the problems and issues and deficiencies in your body. We call it a state, and you got to take the right remedial step.
Wow, wow. So have you
For us,
seen that information gone, and has there been some change that has come that you specifically saw that happen?
oh, lot many. I
Oh,
would say 60% of our recommendations
yeah.
is been followed through.
Wow.
And I would say more than 30 to 40% has been implemented on ground, and they have been, beneficiary of all this.
Wow. Wow. That's
So
amazing.
this proudly I can say that much, and that is the reason why we say our mission is to actively contribute to make a billion life, improve
Wow. Wow.
in some way or the other.
Yeah, no, I never thought about, a survey company doing that, but now I see the lab technician is certainly very, very important, So, and
For us,
yeah,
we also work on one very simple principle.
yeah,
The same human being is consumer for corporate, citizen for government, and voters for political parties. The same person, human being. So our large chunk comes from corporate research, the brands. From hair oil to footwear, we try and understand what you consume and what would be your future purchase intent.
beautiful.
So if you consume and purchase next is the same, which is the loyalty. If you're shifting, the most important point, where you are shifting to. Unless you do this kind of a study, no market share study will tell you where your consumer is shifting to and where he's coming from.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And this kind of leads into the other very important book that you wrote, which is Blueprint for the Economic Miracle. Tell us a little bit about that, and what is the blueprint for the economic miracle for India?
So when we see India and when we talk about India and last 20, 30, 50, 70 years, you will agree with one very frequently used phrase, a sentence, is that India has tremendous potential.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You've been hearing this from last 70 years till today.
Yes.
In India or abroad.
Yes.
Nobody can have second thought about it.
Right.
But we are only listening last 70 years, India has a tremendous potential. Where is that potential? The reality is there may be n number of measurement to measure it. What is the actual scene 70 years back and now? The simplest one to my mind is dollar versus rupees valuation. It was 1:1 at 1947, now it is 1:76.
Right.
Why is that so? Is this the deterioration of the situation on the ground, or what it tells you the story? And of course, there is a lot of improvisation as far as the road, electricity, water, technology, communication. I do agree.
Yeah.
But ultimately, for my mind, it is the people who matters.
Hmm.
So for that, in this book, what we try to understand, where is that potential lies?
Yeah.
People are talking about 70 years. Where is that potential? So we diagnose three things
Okay.
when India is blessed with. One is the sheer population.
Yes.
For any kind of GDP is nothing but a productivity, right? The outcome.
Yeah.
So one need to a sheer working hands. India is flush with 1.3 billion as per 20,
Yeah.
11 census. Then if people are there, you need some space to work around.
Yeah.
So India is sitting on, though the India size geographical is one third of China and America, but the kind of arable land this country has even today is much more than that China and America.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
Wow.
am telling you that,
Yeah.
which is there in Harvard Business School library. When we were studying, they have given all the indicators of most of the top 20 countries.
Yeah.
And I could see that, I could, because I am an analytic
Right.
person, I
Right.
could easily make out whereas that positive lies.
Right.
So it is most. But, and the third thing, the you got the people, you got the place, the land,
Yeah.
land mass.
Yeah.
And also the most important thing India blazed with is the kind of environmental condition this country has.
Hmm.
One can work 365 days, unlike
Hmm.
Western countries where you have so many, extreme weather, you
Yeah.
can't do anything, though you want to. So
Interesting.
these are the three things which makes people believe India has tremendous potential. So
Okay.
now, how do we do and what we do? Forget
Yeah.
whatever has been done in the
Yeah.
past. I'm not getting into that because
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person to
Right.
crib about what happened in the past. Is
Right. Right.
whatever
Right.
has happened good.
Yeah.
So I suggested to the government, if these arable land, the way you convert them into an industrial corridor, MIDC,
Yeah.
GIDC, Maharashtra Industrial this thing, and the GI Gujarat Industry Development Corporation, etc., and give people on lease to put up their factory or whatever they want to.
Um,
I said, India people, 80% of people, 70% actually live in rural India,
yeah. Yeah.
meaning they have a very limitation as far as the skillness is concerned.
Right.
They can only do the farming. So I suggested develop these local. There are 600,000 villages in the country and 6,000 cities and towns.
Yeah.
At local level, you lease them to the youth
Ah.
and ask them to do whatever you want to do, but only farming, no construction.
Wow. Interesting.
Because they can do only that. Gandhiji used to say, agriculture is soul of our economy,
Economy. Sure.
right?
Sure.
So you give them, let them do whatever they want to. And now if you see, because of pandemic, this is out of the force.
Right.
Our export has raised from $300 billion to $400 billion in last 1 year. And
Oh.
the large chunk is contributed, the growth thing I am talking about
Yeah.
is the farm products, food products.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
So our people can do only this. Even if you can put up 10 factory, though you haven't, through the help of FDI, but they will give employment to 10,000 people, 50,000 people each. But here you are talking about 70% of rural India out of
Interesting.
1.3%, and
Interesting.
65% is below 35 of year age.
Right.
This is the
Wow.
this is the demographic dividend this company is sitting on.
Right.
So
Wow.
this is the blueprint I made and put forward, particularly for the government to follow this. If you can, that is where the economic miracle, which people is talking at least I am hearing, my age is 50 plus, 70 years more than that. India
Sure.
has tremendous potential.
Sure.
Let us realize those tremendous potential where
Right.
it lies. And it's very
Beautiful.
simple, easy to implement. There is nothing very, hanky panky
Complicated.
or a very complicated thing which is not possible. You just now, with the age of technology, you have to just make sure this land is not misused.
Right.
And that's it.
That's it. And then
That's
it's agricultural skill is there anyway, so there's not no skill
Anyway,
can
they
go.
will do, at least make it green.
Yeah,
At least
exactly.
make it green.
Exactly. And that'll be good for everybody and the environment,
Everybody.
especially. Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah. And food is going to be an issue, and
Of
maybe
course.
they could be the answer. So, oh, beautiful,
Yeah. So
beautiful.
this I released in 2018.
Right,
Not now.
wonderful. Wow, that's amazing. So now you have studied everything. You have the pulse of the nation. So what is your prediction for the future now from here?
Future for, in what context you're talking
In
about?
India, I mean, both from an economic perspective and electoral, where is it? I know that the elections are going to be
So,
coming up. So there,
two things. Yeah.
what are your not astrological, but survey-based predictions for the future?
Scientific.
Scientific. There we
You
go.
are IITian, so and I am also engineer,
Yes,
so we
exactly.
cannot give the astrological
Exactly.
lens to
Exactly.
this.
Evidence-based, data-based.
Yes, database. Yeah, that data is fine. So two things. One is, as far as the economical and socio-economic growth is very good, fantastic. That's quite evident. This data just now I told you just released a week back, the $400 billion plus comparison to $300 billion last time, and this was the highest ever. It's not that because of pandemic this must have done.
Right, right, right.
Fantastic. Company is, I mean, life of people is improving every day, but we need to improvise and make it comparable with the developed countries. That is what is I am talking about.
Right.
It's not that there is no growth. Tremendous growth is there.
Tremendous growth.
But when we talk about 5 trillion economy, the only way is this, which is my firm belief. This is them. And now coming to the electoral side, the political side, as I mentioned, for that I have to have the facts and data before me before I speak out. Pradeep Gupta doesn't speak anything without data. So we haven't studied the data in terms of 2024.
Right. Okay. I thought that might be the case, but I thought I'll just check in anyway.
Yes, yes.
But the one question I do have is you did mention women as an important demographic factor, and I know that keeps coming up. So I'd love to ask you that, are they really the election makers of India, or how important is their role in, having the polls go the right way?
So woman is now election maker, government maker now.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
woman is the government. I'll tell you why this transformation happened.
Yeah.
10, 20 years back, it has improved, slowly, 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 slowly. We used to call it India एक बोलते ना भारत एक पुरुष प्रधान देश है. Have you heard this?
Yes, of course, yes.
भारत एक गरीब देश है. Have you heard this?
बिल्कुल.
These are the two reality. That is the reason why people say.
Yeah.
Now, what has changed in last 20 years? Because of technology, communication, and political will at top level has changed drastically, and which is quite evident. When you say Purush Pradhan, meaning dependent, male dependent, or dominated by male member, why is that so? Because 80% or even 90% of women in India were dependent on their male member, what you call CWE, chief wage earner.
Right.
And the chief wage earner in 80% cases in India, or 90% cases in India, was male. So whatever they are saying, woman has to follow, including whom to cast the vote. Now, in last 20 years, and J. Jayalalitha, this has started.
Interesting.
Empowering the woman to start with giving so many freebies. They call it freebies, but I say they are at least taking care of that
Yeah.
particular
Right.
demography. It is more important.
Yeah.
And then the train has shifted largely throughout the India. And when the Modi resumed the office in 2014, though starting with toilets, the toilet is one thing. The core is women going out and facing lots of problems, right? Second, gas connection. India used to cook their food, again 70% cases before 2015 14, through wood,
Yeah.
coal, right, dung waste, fuel.
Right.
And gas connection, the state was you apply today and you may get after 10 years or 5 years. And you need substantial amount initially to pay as a deposit, which
Right.
was 5,000 rupees.
Right.
It's a big amount for any poor person to pay, and pay for the cylinder after
Right.
that. But what this government has done, Modi government in 2024, free gas connection. You only pay for the cylinder that time,
Right.
you know. So coming from, and there was a Indira Awas Yojana, free housing, or some financial assistance is given for the housing, though it was there, Indira Awas Yojana. What this government has changed to, the Awas, the house will be titled in the name of woman only.
Wow.
Can
Interesting.
you imagine? Can you imagine a pleasure of a poor woman having the,
Honor.
house their name, house under their name? Now,
Wow.
male has to bend down a little,
Surely. Surely.
other
Surely.
way around.
Surely.
Then during pandemic, they've given full ration free, 5 kg to one member of the family, five member in the family. So you got a gas connection, you got a house, and you got a food also. Now that positioning of CWE is shifting toward these
Uh,
big, tall political leaders.
interesting.
Sometime it was Jayalalitha, sometime it was Naveen Patnaik, sometime it is Pinarayi Vijayan. And throughout India, if you talk, it is Narendra Modi.
Interesting. Interesting.
So in our recently concluded UP election, the difference between two parties, the BJP and SP, among the male, the differences were 4 percentage point.
Yeah.
Among female, it is 12% more.
Wow. 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 Interesting. Interesting. So surely everybody has to pay attention to women, and it is
And
making a big,
50% of demography.
yeah, and it's hopefully making going to shift even the way India itself grows. Probably, would you think so? Even the
Of
economy
course,
of
yes,
the,
because contributor in the growth, that's why without contribution, how can it be the $400 billion? It cannot be.
it cannot be. Interesting, interesting. Well, you have really opened our eyes to things that we did not know about or understand. So thank you so much, Pradeep ji. Really
My pleasure.
appreciate your insights, and we hope our viewers here will read How India Votes and the Blueprint for the Indian Miracle. And I know that many people have a lot of back and forth with India, and hopefully they will use this to understand India better. Thank you so much, Pradeep ji. And next time you
My
are
pleasure.
in town, we hope we get to see you in person. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. My pleasure. Namaste.